Hello, I'm Pastor Christine, and welcome to The Invisible Body. This is a little segment we do called The Word While Walking. Today I want to look at something that has kind of been blowing up my Twitter feed just a little bit, with Christians wondering if we are living in the end times. The pandemic, what's happening in America, a lot of different things happening, and people are saying this is the book of Revelation come to life. Let's look at the book of Revelation just for a moment. If you have a Bible handy, feel free to open it up. At the beginning of the book of Revelation, we learn that this is a letter to a number of churches for very specific reasons. It is written at a time when Christians are being heavily persecuted, and so they believe that it was written in code to protect the writer and to protect the recipients from discovery if somebody else came across the letter. Got to remember, there wasn't email back in the day, so people had to deliver this by hand over a long journey often, and there was a lot of chances of it to fall into the hands of the Romans or other people who were persecuting them, and so code was quite a common way of talking about things. There would have been the assumption that the people who were receiving the letter would understand the code. It is probably most likely why we don't understand it, a lot of it, because we were not the recipients of the letter. So I studied the book of Revelation under a scholar of the book, Dr. Judith Brown, and she is flippin' knowledgeable and wise about all of these, and I cannot do that whole course justice in just a few minutes. But needless to say, there is a lot of evidence that points to the fact that the book is writing about specific events within the lifetime of the people who were reading it. We have to remember that this was not a letter for us, though it did hold truth in it and things that we can learn from and things that we need to understand about the place of the church and society at the time, the things that they were going through, the fall of Jerusalem, huge historic events that are actually very important to our faith. There is evidence that it was about those specific times. Now, if we step away from Revelation for a minute and go into the end times proclamations of Jesus at the end of Matthew, or is it Luke? Oh, I need a Bible on me while I'm doing this walk. We can see he talks about wars and rumors of wars and plagues and famine and all sorts of horrendous stuff. The thing is, those things were apparent before Christ and have been apparent in every generation since Christ. Now, I'm pretty sure the people who lived through World War I, the Great Depression, the Spanish flu, and World War II thought that Jesus was right on the horizon. He didn't turn up then, and as bad as things are now, they have been worse. I don't believe that there is a reason to think that we are in imminent danger or joy of seeing Jesus return. However, that said, all of us need to live as if we are prepared for Jesus' return. We do need to live loving God and loving other people. Now, the danger of believing that the book of Revelation is an absolute 100% prophecy that's being lived out in our times is that we spend all of our days looking at signs and wonders and things and getting distracted from loving God and loving other people. And actually, I believe, and this is not going to be a popular opinion, that talking about the end times is not helpful for our faith or the faith of those around us. I believe that talking about the end times actually promotes conversion through fear, which is not how we want to convert people. In fact, we don't do the converting. What Jesus is meant to do the converting, and that is supposed to be based on a spiritual meeting with Christ that changes a person from the inside out through love and grace. It is not meant to be an external pressuring of a person to convert and give lip service to Christianity so that they will be saved from revelation. We need to change our rhetoric because it's not working. It's not helpful. If we focus on the end times and is this Jesus coming back now, we forget to actually live day to day as if he is coming back, but also with the reality of the fact that every generation since Christ has believed they would be the generation that would see him return. His own disciples thought that they would see him return in their lifetime. So we are not necessarily going to be the people who see him return. It might not be for another 2,000 years. And though it's important to live with love and devotion and grace to people who know Christ and definitely those who don't know Christ, and live with love and devotion to God and to our faith, that shouldn't change whether or not we believe that Christ is on the horizon or not. In fact, it should motivate us to do it even more. And so in light of what is happening around the world, particularly in America, my question is less about is Jesus on the horizon and more about how are we showing love to God and to others every day, so that if he turns up in the next 5 minutes, next 5 years, next 5 centuries, will he find me loving God and loving others in a way that I would be proud of and would actually not be afraid for him to turn up at any moment? But using the rhetoric of Revelation in the end times is something that causes a lot of fear. And it actually distracts us from what we are called to do as his people. We are not called to hang on these things because Jesus himself didn't even know when he was to return. We were not meant to try and find secret codes and add up numbers and try and figure out the day of Jesus' return. That is not what our faith is about. Our faith is about loving God and loving others and doing it well and holding on to faith in Christ and knowing that if he shows up tomorrow, he will find us living out as if we had done every day since we had come to faith in the same way, giving grace to everyone we meet. So let's change the way we speak. Yeah, go study Revelation. That's a fantastic idea. It's a great book. It's very interesting. But also be aware that to get hung up in these conversations of signs and wonders distracts us from the goal of what Christ wanted us to do. This may not be popular with you. You may disagree with me. Feel free to discuss this below and I will give you more ideas around what my thinking is and where I get it from, and I'll actually have some books in front of me as to where I get these ideas from. But yeah, feel free to disagree with me and to tell me that you disagree with me, and let's have a discussion, one that is in love and grace, but a discussion nonetheless. So let me know, and I hope that you enjoyed this short little sermon while walking, and yeah, I look forward to hearing from you.